Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for Singapore FinTech Festival coverage is Eddy Travia, co-founder and CEO of Consilium, to discuss how the rise of decentralized finance, or DeFi, is strengthening crypto's case. Eddy, it's great to meet you virtually. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Nice to meet you, Jill. Thank you.
How is the rise of DeFi and yield farming strengthening crypto's case as its relevance as an asset class?
Well, DeFi is an ecosystem of smart contracts, protocols, and decentralized applications. And their main role is to enable crypto traders to optimize the return from their crypto assets. It's also called yield farming. Usually this is done through staking, lending, borrowing, and also implementing different or just following different trading strategies. So there has been this steady flow of DeFi platforms coming in this year. And there have been many products that have been built on these DeFi platforms. So, for example, derivatives, synthetics, indices, flash loans, collateral, swaps, credit delegation, etc. Because it's actually quite easy to build on that. It's called a bit, money Legos, because you can build on top of existing solutions, basically. So, usually, this platform, they refer to this income as passive income. I prefer to use the term coded income because I feel it describes it best. And basically, anyone can come and design financial models in a much more accessible way than in the traditional finance world. So basically, systematic trading exists for a long time, almost a century. Started manually, and then hedge funds in 80s, 90s, and IT systems made that easier. But really, there is nothing easier today than to build. For people who have some a bit of programmation to build these smart contracts and design these strategies on DeFi. It's much more open. And basically, this high level of programmability has spawned many platforms, and I think many more will come, and a myriad of innovative financial products. So I think that the recent explosion we have seen in interest in DeFi, especially since the end of Q2 2020, we have seen trading volumes going from 1 or 2 billion to about 14 billion today, and a lot of fees as well gained by these traders. And now we have seen that there is 1 million unique wallet addresses connected to different DeFi platforms, which is basically not exactly users, but it gives a good indication of the growth. So I think this has all strengthened the case of crypto and its relevance as an asset class in the space today.
What is the real importance and impact of DeFi on the industry at large? In other words, what are the potential implications for traditional finance as crypto continues to grow and mature? Yeah,
I think that DeFi will have a lasting impact on traditional finance and on the sector at large, because at its core, it's leveraging decentralized networks to transform these legacy financial products that we have been using for decades now into these transparent protocols that run without intermediaries. So that's quite of a big change in the world of finance. Now, in the traditional and DeFi world, in the traditional world, you use basically the same financial engineering models, but on completely. In traditional finance, you have brokers, stock exchanges, hedge funds, financial analysts, clearing houses, and it has quite a high entry barriers to it and a bit of opacity as well. And the DeFi world is much more open, and instead of using these intermediaries, you basically use protocols. And you can even crowdsource script writers that write bots to do trading. So I think DeFi can accelerate the transformation of the traditional banking activities like lending, for example, and even going to, for example, P2P loans, which is a huge market as well, and of course investing, which is kind of the core, yield farming activity of the DeFi operators and the users. And I think this trend is going to be accelerated by this year, which is central bank digital currencies. I think once central banks start issuing digital currencies, then basically people realize, and actually large funds like pension funds, which are really only indirectly exposed to crypto assets, we realize, DeFi type platforms to actually manage billions of dollars of their client money.
And finally, Eddy, what will it take from DeFi to grow further and reach mainstream adoption status?
Yeah, so for now, we cannot really expect, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of people to basically learn about financial trading models, strategies, and programming, right? So I think although DeFi is going to, and it's meant to be decentralized, I think it will be a bit of a loss of the decentralized feature at first, because there will be people who want to go into this but may not want to go through the steep learning curve to go into this space. And of course, there are risks in the world of DeFi. It's cyberspace, so you have hackers, smart contract risk. You have, of course, market risk, liquidation risks, and even if there is insurance today for some of that. But if we look at the evolution of crypto, we've seen that actually centralized exchanges and futures platforms, for example, have done well in the past. So although now they're being kind of cannibalized by platforms, I think for mainstream adoption, there'll probably be this kind of intermediate level of decentralization. And of course, there will be regulation as well, because that's kind of absent today in the world. So I think if you look at the initiatives, for example, from the European Commission with MiCA, Marketing Crypto Asset Regulation, you see that they're trying to make over regulation for as many products and crypto assets and platforms as they can. So I think in the future, if we have central bank digital asset currencies, and then we have this regulation, then we could get to a world where there is a massive adoption kind of space. And I also actually any asset can be tokenized. So I think in a longer range of how we hold, store, and exchange assets because of this tokenization of all the assets we interact with.
All right, Eddy, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me on Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.